There's too many people in the transfer portal of life. Because when life gets tough, when the tough gets going, they always running. Coach Prime is visibly frustrated with the current state of the Colorado Buffaloes football team. And we got to talk about that. Buff Nation, what up? BWB, my bandwagon Buffs. What it is, what it does, and what it's gonna be. It's your man's Harry Billion. Family, welcome to the Liberian Perspective. Family, please do me a favor to help this channel grow and for me to keep doing this sports content. I need you to please smash that subscribe button and please make sure to give me the thumbs up. And if you look right here, I have my Amazon storefront where you can get your Coach Prime and Buff merch. If you look right here, if you see something, say something. You got a story idea you want to share with me or some type of link you want me to talk about, you can send that to my Instagram or my Twitter inbox at TLP Sports Club. And if you prefer to email it, that's hottipsfortlpsports@gmail.com. Hey family, guess what? That's all the business I got. You know what time it is. Let's work. The second week of spring football practices are finally in the books. A lot of the coaches have taken inventory about what's going on around the team. Coach Prime being the head honcho over there at the University of Colorado with their football team, he's taking inventory and he is a little bit frustrated. There's a little bit of conflict with the 7-year-old Deion Sanders and the now Coach Prime. I want to talk to you about that today. To make this make sense, guys, I want to play you this interview and then I'll put this into a context so you can understand what I'm talking about today. Let's go.
Good afternoon, Coach.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Sir, Sean Keeler, the Denver Post, a two-parter. First one on today. You mentioned about the tough and the physical, the smart. How do you feel that offensive line is coming together, and how important is that going to be for what they want to get to what you want to see?
The team that we're playing with now is not the team that we're going to play with in Texas the first game. Do I need to say any more? It's not going to be that.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Coach Prime did something similar at another press conference in this interview. The question is asked, and we all know that Coach Prime is not ever lost for words. While other men may have a bunch of phone numbers for girls or for people they want to date, Coach Prime keeps a little black book of thoughts, words, phrases, things that he wants to say, things that he can shoot off, and he can do that quite often. And we know that Coach Prime is never lost for words. But there are times where Coach Prime, instead of just speaking, Coach Prime would say, in his mind, he would say timeout. Coach Prime has 3 timeouts and he's taking 2 in his press conferences. And that was number 2. And I bring that to your attention because I want to show you this interview also. Let's go ahead and show this interview and then I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Hey Coach, Jake Schwan, it's DMVR. Just with all the players you brought up from JSU and everywhere else, and then the players that have been here at SCU, how do you feel the team has really been able to gel and get to know each other?
I was getting ready to say something. God said, don't do that. Thank you. I'm glad I can hear pretty good. They are getting to know one another, and they're building and establishing relationships, but more so than that, they're holding one another accountable.
All right, so in that interview, Coach Prime, he takes a moment to gather himself because Coach Prime is very passionate about football. 7-year-old Deion Sanders saw his mother's working conditions, and he vowed to himself and to his mother that he would make so much money that she would not have to work as hard as he has, in his 7-year-old mind, has seen her work. I have a 7-year-old. My 7-year-old is very astute. He pays attention to everything. He sees what we're doing. I want you to think about that 7-year-old Deion Sanders. 7-year-olds, they're trying to figure the world out. They have a lot of questions. At this point, they kind of know what they want to do. They kind of figure some things out already. They know what they like. They know what they don't like. So my 7-year-old is asking a lot of questions about the Bible. So mommy, how did Jesus feel? Mommy, daddy, was Jesus upset at that story? He's asking a lot of questions. So my wife is like, Micah, you're starting to ask a lot of questions. I think it's time for you to start reading the Bible. Because he's 7 now, he can read. But 7-year-olds, they have figured it out to a certain degree, a certain extent. So I want you to think about 7-year-old Coach Prime. He's seeing his mother work. And he's like, wow, mommy's always working. Mommy's working a lot. I can imagine in his mind, he's like, hey, mommy, can you play with me? My 7-year-old does this all the time. Hey, daddy, can you play with me? Can you throw the ball? I want to play some football. Can you throw the ball with me? Hey, daddy, can we play this game? Hey, daddy, can we watch a movie? Hey, daddy. Can we do? I'm thinking about 7-year-old Coach Prime in this sense. Hey, mommy, can you play? Hey, mommy, can we play outside? Hey, mommy, can we play a game? Now, if mommy's working a lot, then mommy's going to be tired a lot. So the 7-year-old is going to be hearing a lot of, no, son, I'm very tired right now. I'm trying to get some rest. if the 7-year-old is hearing that quite often, he's going to process it in a way. He loves his mom. He knows his mom is trying. His mom loves him. She gives him hugs, kisses, and she tries her best to play whatever games that she can play. So he's like, wow, my mom loves me. She's doing so much, but she's always tired. She's working so hard. She doesn't have a lot of time to play with me. She's always tired. She's working. In that process, he's thinking, man, I want to do something about that. Then he tells her one day, Mommy, I'm going to make so much money one day, you wouldn't have to work another day in your life. This is a story that Coach Prime tells when he's meeting with some students at CU. That's another video that I have. I'll bring that to you guys in a little bit. But 7-year-old Coach Prime is thinking this. For that young man to have that vision at that age, that young man had a certain hunger for success. The goal was to make so much money that his mom didn't have to work another day like the way she was working. He needed his mom to be there for him. She was there for him, but her time was split between working a whole lot and caring for him to a certain degree. Keep in mind, I have a 7-year-old. I know how they are. I'm dealing with this right now. Daddy picks Micah up, which is my son, from the bus stop. Hey, Daddy, are you editing today? Yes, Micah. Oh, okay. Because I wanted to go to the park. No, Micah, I can't go to the park right now. I'm editing. You know I got to edit this video to post it. 7-year-old Deion right now is grabbing Coach Prime and saying, man, what can I do to get these kids to have that same desire that I had? So that 7-year-old Deion developed that passion for the things that he was going to do in life because of the condition that was at home. He had a gift. He had a natural talent to play football and baseball. Something had to connect that gift, that natural gift that he had to play football and baseball. A burning desire for something had to connect that to crystallize it internally for him, to make him a dog. And that thing was the desire to retire his mother. The desire to make sure that his mom didn't have to work as hard as she did when he was 7 years old. That passion, that desire, that burning desire is still driving Coach Prime to this day. And that desire and that passion, the love for the game and that passion that he has is driving the frustration that he feels right now, because he does not see that in the kids that he's currently coaching at CU. Everybody's not the same. Keep in mind, you're getting kids from all around the country, basically all around the world. If you add the kids from the other parts of the world, we're practically having kids from all around the world. Different households with different situations. I remember when I started playing football. You got to keep in mind that my story in Liberia, the primary sport was soccer. We call it football. So when I came to the U.S., it was natural that I played soccer. When I became a teenager and I got older, I was introduced to football in the neighborhood. The kids around the neighborhood would play football. None of them were playing soccer. I started to play football and I became interested in football. So when I got to high school, I played soccer and then I played football eventually. I played sports, but sports was not my first priority. In my home, education was the first priority. I told you guys in one video that my dad is one of the smartest people on earth. And when I say that, I'm not saying it because he's my dad. My dad is literally one of the smartest people that I know and probably on the face of this earth. My dad has worked for 2 presidents in Liberia. If my dad was an American and worked in the U.S. and worked for 2 presidents, he would be a local hero from where he's from. So my dad has served under 2 presidents. He manages their budgets in what's known as our White House. He's really smart. In his home and how he was brought up, being dirt poor, he realized that the only way that he could get out of the ghetto or out of his destitute situation, when I say poor, I'm talking about 7 or 8 boys living in one room with one bed, that kind of poor. My dad realized that the only way that he could get out of that situation was the books, was school. And boy, did he hit the books and then he started going to school. So for my dad, education is very important. That's the #1 priority. And he brought me to America to give me that opportunity to make something of myself, the same thing that he's made of himself, to be somebody. That's the first priority in my home. My dad was not an athlete, so he wasn't coaching me. He wasn't telling me, hey, I want you to be an athlete. He just coached me on what he knew and what he did to become somebody. As you can imagine, in my home, under my dad's leadership, sports would be secondary, education would be primary. This is how I approach the world. So I'm looking at sports as, oh, this is just another activity that I'm doing. That's all it is for me. So I remember when I joined the football team, we had two-a-days. Two-a-days is during the summertime where we're off school and the football team has to report to summer camp and start practicing, start getting our bodies ready for the football season. This is actually my very first time playing football. So they put the pads on me. I'm like the funny guy. I like to make jokes and stuff like that. I wouldn't call myself the class clown. I wouldn't call myself a clown per se, because I'm too serious to be that. But I'm a funny guy. So to put this uniform on me, the helmet's kind of big, so when I'm running, the thing is bouncing up and down. So for me, in my brain, like this is kind of silly to me. So I'm laughing and I'm joking. As I'm running, the thing is bouncing up and down and I'm laughing and I'm making fun. I'm like, this is really silly. Because we're in a line. One line is this way and the other line is this way. And we're all running. And I'm laughing and I'm being silly. One young man is sitting next to me. He's running next to me. He's one of the best players on the team. I believe he was a running back, a fullback. He was short, really muscular, and I believe he was a fullback. He was one of those running backs. And he takes a look at me. He gives me this look that I would never forget. That's why I'm able to tell you this story today. It was one of those moments that was captioned in my subconscious forever. It's not ever going to leave me, because I remember this moment like it was yesterday. This young man looks at me and he gives me this serious look like, hey, Harry B., this is very serious for me. You're too silly. You're silly, but this is serious. It was as if this for him was life or death situation. This was his ticket. It was that serious for him. I can't say that education was secondary for him, but the look that he gave me, football was primary for him. I can imagine that he was a 7-year-old Deion Sanders. He was a dog. Something had developed a burning desire for the game of football for him. And he now developed a passion and a love for the game. And he realized that this here is my ticket. This is the thing that's going to get me out of my situation. And this is it for me. And I'm going to treat it as such. I remember that young man. He was one of those dogs that Coach Prime is seeking. He helped me to think that maybe, okay, I need to take this a little bit more serious. Because it's serious for this guy, maybe it is serious. I never really took football that serious because it wasn't in my culture. It wasn't something that I thought, oh, maybe I can make this a profession. All I knew was for me to be somebody, I got to go to school and take my education seriously. The issue that Coach Prime is having is, I believe on that team, Coach Prime is looking for 7-year-old Deion's, and he's looking for that young man that gave me that look that day. But you got to imagine, you got to think about the fact that on this team, there are a lot of Harry B's. Education is their priority. Football is secondary for them. A lot of them are coming out of different situations. Nothing in their past or nothing in their home has given them or connected a burning desire for football for them to make it primary for them. I want you to think about the university that they're at. They are at the University of Colorado with the acronym CU. So most people say Colorado University. Whichever one you say, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. People like to make arguments about that. Who cares? My guy, Chris, from Alpine Garage Sports, he made a video. In one of those videos, he said that CU is not an Ivy League university, but because of how tough their curriculum is and how they're set up, they are known as a public Ivy League. So you must think about CU as an academic university, and academics is priority for them. So now think about the homes that these kids are coming from. A lot of those kids on that team are not scholarship players. And even those who are scholarship players, football is secondary for them, not primary. Football is a bonus for them. Like one of the kids on the team is from Dartmouth, an Ivy League school. The parents that are sending these kids to these schools are education first parents. Their primary objective is education. I want you to get a degree from a prestigious university that is going to set you up for life. And I'm glad that you play sports. You wanted to do some type of activity. Football was something for you. You were really good at it and you got a scholarship, or you were able to play for the university that I'm sending you to. Think about that. Very prestigious university. And guess what? Presidents have gone to this university. One of those presidents that have gone to that university, my dad worked for. Her name is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That was the first president that my dad worked for. He managed her budget. So presidents have gone to this university. Prominent people have graduated from this university. I made a video talking about that, and I'll put it up here so you can see that video. So CU, or University of Colorado, is not a pushover university when it comes to education. Their curriculum is so tough that they have to deal with that curriculum, and now they have to deal with 7-year-old Deion Sanders. He's really tough because 7-year-old Deion Sanders is now Coach Prime. That passion that he had, that burning desire that he got inside of him is still pushing him. So he might as well be tougher than the Ivy League school himself, because that desire burns so bright and so hot inside inside of him that everybody and anybody around him that he's influencing must have that same desire inside of them, or it's no good. It's not going to work. So 7-year-old Deion Sanders and the now Coach Prime are conflicted because he can't figure out why these kids don't have that same desire in them that he had when he was 7 years old. And he's going to do something about that. So when Coach Prime says in this interview, let me just remind you of the interview one more time. Let's watch it again.
The team that we're playing with now is not the team that we're going to play with in Texas the first game.
So now, that interview, what Coach Prime is saying there, it could go one or two ways. You can take it and say, a lot of these kids are about to jump into this transfer portal because Coach Prime is going to cut some of these kids. But I submit to you that is not what Coach Prime is doing. I want you to keep in mind that Coach Prime is a master motivator. Remember in that other interview, when he was asked the question, he paused and he took his time and says, whoops, I was about to say something, but God told me not to say that, not this time. This same thing happens again. And Coach Prime's taking his time and he's like, all right, God, I'm listening to you. But the master motivator was now given an instruction to speak. God says, do you motivate them? I need you to motivate these kids. I need you to put some fire inside of these kids because every single kid does not arrive at their burning desire at the same time. Dennis Rodman did not start playing basketball until he was like either 18 or 21 years old. Everybody does not arrive at the same time. Coach Prime knows this. He knows this very well. So the message that he was sending, some in the media could read it and say, uh-oh, here comes the transfer portal talk. Like in the beginning when he first got here, he told some kids to jump into that transfer portal. But I don't believe that that's what Coach Prime is doing in this instance. Here, that's not what he's doing. I believe that Coach Prime understands and he knows the art of motivation. So he sent a message to spark these kids, to get the picture, to get motivated. Because when you're trying to do something, it ain't going to become a Kobe Bryant with his sword wrestling power, a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan. It's not going to get to that point until something inside of you connects it or makes a burning desire inside of you. And then that passion, which is going to now drive you, becomes alive so that you know now what you need to do to make that happen, to become a beast or to become a dog. Coach Prime is seeking dogs and he knows how to develop dogs because he understands that a dog needs a burning desire to become a dog. So what did he do? He sent a message via the media. And he says, he took his time. When God says go, he goes. So God said, sick him. And he sent that message. That message was not to say, jump into the transfer portal. He says the team that I'm currently coaching, that you're asking the question about, is not going to be the team that plays in Texas at Texas Christian University, TCU. The horned frog, which is not actually a frog, is actually a lizard because the lizard, when he does his fighting stance, he has a round body and he looks like a toad. So that's why they call him a frog. You got to watch my video about the mascots, okay? I'll go ahead and put that up here too. You got to watch this video. It's a pretty fun video. I made that really early in my process. So when he says that team is not going to be the same team, he's not saying go jump into the transfer portal. He's not saying that I'm going to replace everybody. What he's saying is their desire is going to change. He says we're working that locker room. That message is twofold because Coach Prime is on record for saying we're going to bring some more people in here and we're going to shake things up. We're going to continue to recruit. Those who want to stay here are going to stay here, and those who do not want to stay here are going to jump into that transfer portal. I am encouraging both sides and both things. I want you to develop the dog in you, and I want you to get a bite. I want you to get your bark to go wow. Now, Coach Prime is trying to encourage these kids in any way possible, trying to let them know this team that you see now is going to look different. So he's not saying everybody's going to go. Coach Prime is saying that we're developing some dogs in this locker room, and when we're all said and done, you're not even going to recognize these kids. It's going to be a whole new team. So yes, it's a twofold message. He's actually saying we can replace you. Let me just show you this clip right quick.
Corey, where you at? Stand up and tell them what we talked about this morning. How many?
24 to 29 of y'all that on scholarship can be replaced.
And all right now, the other ones can't be replaced as what?
You 1 year guys.
But that don't mean I'd rather eat it than deal with some foolishness right now. Because that's the way I am. I'd rather eat the scholarship than deal with the bull junk that we brought in, that you guys replaced it, and thinking you could just kick it around here because you don't see talent. You're not competing against this room. You're competing against the guys we're going to get right now. That's the problem. You think you just compete against this room. When that portal open, I'm telling you right It's on y'all, man. It's on y'all to go get it.
I'm playing you a lot of clips today because I need you to get the picture. And these kids are watching, and I want them to also get the picture, to also understand what's going on. Coach Prime is looking for some dogs. All of these methods that he's using, these things that he's doing are to motivate you, players, to let you know, I love you, I care for you, I really want you to win in life. This is the ultimate message. We just came out of Passion Week, and we just had Easter Sunday. Jesus' ultimate message is not to let us know that I'm keeping track of everything that you do wrong. He's not doing that. Jesus is not saying if you don't change your way every single time, you're going to hell. Jesus is not turn or burn. Jesus' ultimate message is that I love you and I am here to help you if you want or need the help. I'm always here. My door's always open and I'm here for you. I'm not turn or burn type. If you mess up, you want your inheritance, I will give you your inheritance. And guess what? If you go out there and you do mess up, my door and my arms are always open. I love you and I want to develop you into a better version of you now. That is the ultimate message of Jesus. And many people miss that message. They think the more things that they do, the worse it is for them and God will never accept them. That is not the message. That is not a Christian message. If you went to a church or anybody who's around you says that that's the message of Jesus Christ, that is not the message of Jesus Christ. And I want you to hear this, my friends. He's not counting your bricks. He's not counting your faults. Jesus is not counting all of that. He would have not let people put nails in his hands, in his feet, and hang on a cross and breathe his last breath crying to his Father, oh, Father, please take this away from me. But please don't if this is your will. He would never do that if he wanted to count your faults. The reason why he did that was because of your faults. He says, I see all of the things that you're doing, and guess what I want for you? Guess what I want to do? I want to take all of that onto myself to free you up, to be better, to be a better version of yourself. I love you, and I want you to know that I love you, and this is how I'm showing my love, to die for you, for your sins. I'm not saying jump into the hell. I'm not saying jump into the transfer portal. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you to jump ships. I want you to know that I love you. And if you are the prodigal son, when you take your inheritance and you dry up your inheritance and you go out there, you spend all the money, and now you're looking at pigs food, and you want to eat pigs food. When you decide, you know what, I want to come back home, your home is always here for you. I am going to accept you back into my arms, and I'm going to hug you and clothe you with the cloth of a prince or a princess. I'm always here for you, no matter what. I love you. That's the message of Jesus Christ. Now, I don't want nobody to get this the wrong way. I'm not saying Coach Prime is Jesus Christ and that's what he was doing. I'm not saying that. But I'm trying to let you know that Coach Prime cares a lot about these kids. He wants the best for these kids. He understands that the 90 percentile of these kids are not going to go to the NFL. So he's trying to instill in them lessons of life right now so that in the end, when they're all working out there and things get hard, remember, a burning desire must be inside of you. Whatever you want to accomplish, you must develop a burning desire inside of you in order for you to win in life. Don't ever give up, no matter how hard it gets. What I'm telling you now may seem harsh, but life is harder than that. Life is so much harder than me telling you to jump into the transfer portal. You cannot jump into the transfer portal when you hear jump into the transfer portal. You can't give up because somebody's telling you to give up, because he knows that there are going to be people that says give up, you suck, you're not the best, you're not worthy to be here. People will tell you, why are you even here? Nobody wants you here. You're not good enough to be here. When you're no longer playing football and you hear those things in life, I want you to remember, this is not time to quit. This is time to ante up. This is time to take those words personal. This is time to develop the beast in you, to say, oh, I see what you're doing, life. It's time that I become 7-year-old Deion Sanders and get a burning desire inside of me. I want to be a YouTuber. I'm in the YouTube space. I want to be one of the best YouTubers ever. Oh, I am a financial person. People are telling me I don't belong here. You know what? I'm going to be one of the best financial advisors there is. I'm going to be one of the best financial analysts there is. Oh, I'm a farmer. Oh, I'm going to grow the heck out of these crops. Oh, I want to be a school teacher. I'm a new principal. You know what? They're going to be writing about my school when this is all said and done. Even though we got the worst school right now, I'm going to have one of the best schools, and people are going to be writing about this little rinky-dink school right now that I'm cleaning up, and I'm the principal. I'm going to have one of the best schools ever. I'm a janitor right now. Oh, guess what? The principal is going to be talking about me because I'm going to have their school so clean. I'm going to sweep these floors so nice, and I'm going to make sure all of these kids respect the whole idea of this school being clean, and I'm going to treat them with respect, and we all going to keep this school clean. That's what I'm going to do. Coach is saying, I love these kids. If you just take these messages for face value, then you're going to miss what's underneath. You're going to miss the motivational factor. Life bites. Life has a harder bite than Coach Prime does. So if you're one that's sitting back and saying, oh, here he goes again, you're going to miss this. So the motivation to help you to understand that when life is tough, you got to get tougher. When life is hard, put on your boots. Get tough. Wake up. Tell depression to go away. Smack depression in the face and say, you got to get up out of here. Whenever that little negative thought enters your brain, I'm not jumping in the transfer portal. Oh, no. I got to play harder. I got to run harder. I got to play a little bit tougher because I want my position. I know I belong here and I'm staying here. Can't nobody move me from this team. It ain't gonna happen. Not a chance. I worked too hard to get here and you're not gonna tell me that I don't belong here. Not you, Coach Prime. Not you, co-worker. I belong here and I know now what I gotta do. I'm going to ante up and I'm going to work my tail off until it hurts. And then when it hurts, I'm going to work even harder because I belong here. And then when I'm done, let the chips fall where they're going to fall. If I make it to the NFL, if I don't, it's all good because I know I gave it my all and I'm going to work my tail off. And I know if nobody ever writes about it, I know there's a God in heaven that saw my potential and saw my desire and saw all the efforts that I put into it. And he will elevate me. When God elevates you, what you end up doing is way, way bigger than the NFL. Is way, way bigger than what you thought you were getting. When God says it's time for you to go, when he gives you that platform, I don't care what platform you thought you was trying to get, that platform will speak way louder than anything that you were thinking. So in the end of the day, do it unto God. If you can't find the desire inside of yourself, do it for God. Give it to God and do it for him. One of the players was asked a question. Where do you get your desire? I'm paraphrasing. And he said, I want to do it for my coach. I want to do it for Coach Prime. He cares so much about the game. He has so much passion for the game. So young men, if you can't find the passion, if football is not your primary goal, education is, I understand. But right now, what you're developing is a burning desire inside of you for whatever you're going to become in life. So if you can't find the passion, if you can't find that burning desire, do it for Coach Prime because he cares about you so much. Now he's burning for you. Coach Prime, 7-year-old Deion Sanders has turned into Coach Prime. And now the burning desire for him is for you. His mother hasn't had to work for years. Now his desire is for you to be a young man, respectable in our society, have discipline in our society, be a highly contributing member of our society. His desire burns inside of him now for you to turn out to be one of those things. So do it for him. You're not on this team. You're watching me. You're listening to me. You have a desire to do something. You can't find the passion. You can't find the thing, that spark that you need. Give it to God. Give it to God. I don't know who else to tell you to give it to. Give it to God. Dedicate it back to God and say, here, God, please take this because I can't do this. I can't find the desire because he loves you so much and he wants so much more for you. Give it to him. He knows what to do with it. Give it back to him. Say, God, here, take it. I'm tired. I've been running too long. Take this here from me and do what you will with it. Whatever it is you want to do with it, do with it, God. God loves you and he wants you to win. That is what he's trying to do. Somebody has hurt you in the church. Somebody did something to you that hurt your feelings. They did not represent the love that God came to give to us. The way that your church has been teaching you has not been the love. They're not exemplifying the love that God has for you. You're going to be like the prodigal son. You do whatever you want to do, like Black China. Baby girl, if you're ready to come home, I'm going to be right here and I'm going to hug you and I'm going to clothe you in love and I'm going to give you that blouse or that dress for the princess. And you're going to be just like a princess to me. Your sins, everything you've done in life, I don't care how many times guys ran up on you. That stuff don't matter. Whoever talked about you, I'm going to take all of those sins and I'm going to hide it. I'm going to hide all of those sins. And when they look at you now, they're going to look at you way different. They're not even going to see you the same way. They're not even going to be able to say anything about your past, because now when they look at you, they'll be looking at me, not you. So these lessons are being taught by Coach Prime. You can develop that dog in you, or you can always run away and jump into that transfer portal. The transfer portal of life is packed full of people. There's too many people in the transfer portal of life, because when life gets tough, when the tough gets going, they always running. They'll always jump into that transfer portal. Jump into the next thing. Oh, this is too hard. I started to do this business. It got too hard. 2 months later, I'm jumping into the transfer portal. I started this new thing. People told me I didn't belong here. I jumped into the transfer portal. Are you always going to be jumping into the transfer portal, or are you going to stand up and say, you know what? I belong here and I'm going to fight. This is my team. I'm going to make it on this team. This is my job. This is my career. I'm going to make it into this career, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to fight, and then I'm going to fight even more, no matter how hard it gets. I'm going to make this team. I'm going to leave it right there. Coach Prime is going to win, and he's going to win big because of that passion. That right there, my friend, was the Liberian perspective. TLP Sports Club.